The Democratic-led House of Representatives in the US is pushing ahead with its impeachment investigation of President Donald Trump, despite the fact that the White House says it refuses to cooperate with the probe. Well, the investigation is looking into the president's dealings with Ukraine, and specifically the issue of whether or not he used $400 million of aid to pressure the Ukrainian president to dig up dirt on his Democratic rival, the former Vice President Joe Biden. Well, such a move would be illegal, but President Trump denies he did anything wrong. Well, for more, we can speak now to Ian Reifowitz, who's a professor of history at Empire State College at the State University of New York. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. You've written extensively about the Obama and the Trump presidencies. The White House has called this impeachment inquiry unconstitutional. But as far as I understood, the Constitution enshrined precisely these kind of checks and balances on the actions of its head of state.
Your understanding is correct. The Constitution very clearly states that the House of Representatives is charged and has the sole authority to carry out impeachment. In other words, the House can impeach a president and can investigate an impeachment and inquire about impeachment any way it likes. It has the sole authority. So it literally can't do anything wrong here or unconstitutional because there are no restrictions on how it carries out that authority. It's as simple as that.
Okay, and of course, President Trump all the while saying that his Democratic rival Joe Biden is corrupt, as is his son. He hasn't produced any evidence, though, to back up that claim, has he? And that would be quite important to sort of validating his reasoning behind asking the Ukrainian president to do some further investigation on his behalf.
Once again, you're absolutely right. He has produced no evidence. His campaign has, however, produced an ad which accused Joe Biden, without any evidence, of withholding or threatening to withhold $1 billion in aid if the president of Ukraine at that time in 2016 didn't get rid of a prosecutor and essentially cover up something that Hunter Biden had supposedly done, which A, there's no evidence of Hunter Biden having done it. B, there's no evidence of Joe Biden having used money to pressure Ukraine to do this. It's a complete lie. CNN rejected the ad. However, interestingly, Facebook has allowed the Trump campaign to run the ad. So there's no evidence, but that's not stopping the Trump campaign for creating a campaign commercial with those lies. And interestingly, he's talked a lot about wanting to investigate corruption. The only person in the United States who Trump seems to be interested in pursuing in terms of getting other governments to investigate corruption, there's only one, and that's Joe Biden, who just happens to be one of his main rivals for the presidency in 2020. It's interesting he's not interested in pursuing other cases of corruption involving Americans.
Indeed, it seems to be the only one that we're hearing him being particularly vocal about anyway. And one of the other things we're hearing from President Trump is he's calling now for that whistleblower to be unmasked and for him or to her to apologize to him. Now, I saw the latest poll, a poll by Reuters Ipsos, that said that 45% of adult Americans support impeachment, 39% oppose it. Now, if public opinion is on the side of going ahead with this impeachment probe, I mean, has Donald Trump made a miscalculation? Has he misread what public opinion is saying if he's opted to completely disregard the whole process of impeachment and not to cooperate with it? What's your thought?
I think he has a couple of things. Certainly, the identity of the whistleblower is protected by law. So Donald Trump, in demanding that he be unmasked or she be unmasked, is actually behaving in an unlawful manner. A. B. I've seen a number of polls as well, and the polling has shifted significantly in the past couple of weeks to the point where now, if you average the polls, and it's always important to average a number of polls because any one poll could be an outlier. I believe support for impeachment is at about 49%, and opposing impeachment is about 43.5%, and that's a significant move of 4 or 5 points just from 2 weeks ago when the story began to break. Numbers have increased in favor of impeachment among Democrats, but also among independents and also among Republicans. Obviously, it's lower among Republicans, but it has gone up for all three. And if you look at polling on separately from whether he should be impeached, but whether an impeachment inquiry should be begun, polling is much stronger in favor there. It's something in the level of about 55% on average are in favor of starting an inquiry for impeachment, and only about 35 to 37 are opposed. So one step at a time. The first step is to start an inquiry, and there is very strong support for that among the American people. I do think Donald Trump is in danger, but see, for him, all he really is focused on is his base. And if his base begins to crack, then he really is in trouble.
Yeah, well, it looks like, Professor, we are on the same page when it comes to those polling numbers. The US president himself tweeted in the last couple of hours saying only 29% want the president impeached, which is pretty low considering the volume of fake news coverage. So he says it's 25. We say it's somewhere in the 40s. Thank you very much indeed, Professor Ian Reifowitz in New York. Thank you for sharing that with us.